What's going on, guys? It's Mehdi, and inside of this video I want to talk to you about how I made over $13,000 in just 24 hours. And it's crazy because if you came to me 8 years ago and told me that you would be able to make that even in a month, I would tell you it's impossible. Well, not me, right? It's gonna be someone else. It's those people that you see online. But now having achieved this, and if you're new to my channel, I'll show you some quick proof on the screen. There's three main concepts that I want to speak with you about that will allow you to realize what it takes to get there. So if you're in your current situation, which is you haven't yet even made 10K in a month, let alone within 24 hours, then I want to show you step by step certain things that you're not doing that you want to change in order to get to that goal. Because there's three things keeping you stuck in that same position that's holding you back. And the first one is an identity shift. Now, the reason why I say that is because I'm not the same person as I am today, making $13,000 in 24 hours as I was when I first started out and didn't even make $1,000 in 24 hours. The question is, what changed? And why is it important for you to change your identity to get to the next level? And it's a thing about self-belief. And I was speaking to one of our clients just yesterday. We did an entire hour-long interview about his business on how he went from zero to his first 10K, to his first 6 figures, to his first $1 million cash collected working with us. And one of the key things that I realized is he had to have an identity shift. So if you don't know what an identity shift is, you first have to understand what your identity is and what makes up your identity. Your current perception of yourself is what your identity is. It's how you see yourself. It's your self-belief. It's your core values. And everything you believe about yourself creates the identity that you currently have. I'll give you a perfect example. If I believe eating healthy is super important, if I believe training 5 to 6 times a week is extremely important, if I believe doing cardio every day is extremely important, then it's gonna shift into my identity and perception of myself. I'm gonna start to believe that I'm a healthy person because I stick to these core concepts and core values that I have. As a result, I'm gonna train hard, I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna work out, same things I know, and I'm gonna eat healthy. As a result, it's gonna turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy of me getting into shape. And again, I can relate to that because there was a time where I was extremely out of shape. So how is that relevant to you making money? If you think about it like this, when you first start out with making money, you don't believe that it's possible for you to make 10 grand a month. You might believe it's possible, but you haven't done it. So the proof doesn't exist. You haven't seen it with your own 2 eyes. Because there's an absence of proof, there's like a gap of doubt in your mind. There's a little voice in your head that might tell you, is it really possible? It's very hard to just sit there every morning and get a notebook and start writing out your goals and telling yourself, it's possible, or standing in the mirror and telling yourself, I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I'm gonna make 10 grand a month. And I don't believe in that. It's not that I don't believe in writing down your goals. I think that's very important. But to stand in the mirror and just tell yourself, I'm gonna get to that goal, is never gonna get you there. The question is, how do you shift your current identity where you're at, which might be not achieving $10,000 days or $10,000 months, to a stage where it becomes very, very real for you to now achieve that goal? The answer is, it's in your subconscious mind. And how you trigger your subconscious mind is not by sitting there in a corner and meditating for 30 minutes a day. It's by following tiny little action steps that are gonna get you a step closer towards your goal. And I'll give you an example. When I wasn't making 10K a month or even 10K in a day, I would study what all the other people that are making 10K a month and 10K a day are doing. And a lot of the time I realized these people read specific books. They have specific knowledge. They speak a certain way. They present themselves a certain way. There's certain activities that they do throughout the day. Maybe today I'll read a book for 15 minutes. Maybe today I'll hit a gym workout. Maybe today, just like all these other people do, I will find potential clients that I can speak to for a specific offer. I'll begin offering a product in my business every single day. And as I kept doing these little things, they turn into micro wins. Today I've successfully gone to the gym. I'm a step closer. That's what people that make 10K a month do. Today I've gone out there and I've successfully read a book, or I've watched a podcast, or I've studied this course and I've invested into myself, and that's what successful people do. And your identity starts to shift from I'm a beginner looking from the outside in to I'm a player in the game. And I'm completing these little micro actions that are building my self-confidence and self-belief. There's a famous quote that I heard from Alex Hormozi, and I really resonate to this. He says, outwork yourself down. Build an undeniable set of actions that prove to you that you are that person that you say you want to become. And it's true, because you start to leave a trail of history that you use as a reference point to look back on. I am the person that studies. I am the person that works out. I am the person that actively works on my business. And as a result, I've now made my first $1,000. So as you continue to start building these small wins, they snowball into bigger wins. It's like this, and the best way I can explain it to you is something I speak to my clients about. I say, look, if you were to sit there and you were to you follow a diet and you're out of shape and you were to exercise every day, regardless of how you felt, and you followed these set actions, is there any way that you're not going to get in shape? They said, no, of course not, right? I would get into shape. And it's the same thing with business. There's specific actions that if you follow, like educating yourself. For me, it was learning from someone a lot more experienced than me. For me, it was studying certain books and certain courses. And the more I kept doing that, it was impossible for me not to gain new knowledge. And now that I have new knowledge, it was easier for me to act upon that new knowledge. And as a result, I realized that's what builds the momentum to that new identity that you want to create for yourself. And when you start stepping into that new version of yourself, that new identity that you've created, you start acting in accordance to that. I'll give you another example. If you have an athlete that went through a regular, let's say football player, right? Like Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not regular by any means necessary. He's a go. But let's say you have Cristiano Ronaldo before he won any of his championships. You see him as a regular player. Now, when he wins his first championship, through creating a trail of undoubtable proof that he is who he says he is, he starts scoring more goals. He sticks to a cleaner diet. He tells himself, I am a professional athlete. I'm at the top of my game. And he keeps believing and acting in accordance to this new identity, then he'll start scoring more goals, right? As he changes the input, it creates the output. And he wins his first championship. Now, as a result of winning that first championship, he has a new identity. I am a winner of a championship. So now he has a new standard that he holds himself to. And this is another thing. As humans, we sink to our standards. Whatever standard we set is the lowest bar of what we're willing to accept. And I think acceptance has a massive part to play. So when you forcefully create new wins, it creates a standard of what your income should look like or what your goal should look like. When you make $1,000 once, you're never going to feel the same going back to trying to make $100 once per client, for example. So it creates this new standard. And for me, I noticed as I kept creating new, lower standards for myself and I kept raising the bar, okay, my standard is now $1,000 in a day. My standard is now $10,000 in a month and nothing less. It creates that identity that you believe, look, I am a $10,000 per month earner. And it's not something you can write into existence. It's not something you can speak. I mean, you can verbally affirm it to yourself, but the most powerful thing amongst all those things is actually taking the necessary actions in accordance to who you want to become. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because way before I got to a $13,000 day in 24 hours, and this is not even one of the biggest days I've had, it was a case of me understanding that, look, I need to do whatever it takes to become that new version of myself. It's shifting your identity and becoming that new person. Once you shift your identity, you begin acting differently. You begin performing differently, and that's definitely the first thing. The second thing is with this new identity of yours, with this newfound self-belief that you've created through consistently taking action, it's now a case of going out there, realizing that you need to master certain skill sets. Where I learned this, and I remember this very, very vividly, it was about 8 years ago, I went to an event, and it was a business event, and it talked about the different stages of history. You know, we had the Industrial Revolution, where it was all about machines. That's where they built cars, they had massive factories, and now we're in the information age. And I remember hearing this way back in 2015, and it says, since the launch of the internet, we are now in the information age where information is extremely valuable. There are companies, let me put this into perspective for you. There are companies that sell data. Data is a made up thing. It doesn't physically, tangibly exist. You can't touch data. But every time you walk into the mall and you register for free Wi-Fi, you are now classed as an engaged shopper for that mall. It shows that you are someone that actively purchases things. And all that data for the millions of people that visit that specific mall is valuable information that's now being sold onto other companies in the millions. So what does that tell you? It tells you that we're in the age where information is one of the most valuable things that exists. I remember watching a video with Kevin O'Leary, and his son came to him and said, Dad, invest into Tesla. It's a great stock. And he said, I don't want to invest in these electric motors. He said, no, Dad, invest into Tesla. He said, why? And this is one of the sharks from Shark Tank. And his son says, well, Tesla isn't just an electric motor company. They're an information company. Their cars don't just drive on the road. Their cars create autonomous map, and they're always collecting road information, how fast cars are going on certain speeds, how big and long distance a motorway is. And they're going to be one of the first companies that collect all this information that's going to be used and sold to future car companies that are electric. And because they're one of the very first to do this, it's going to value their stock exceptionally high. So it shows you that information is so powerful, it can move an entire stock market. It can drive an entire stock price up. If Donald Trump decides to go on Twitter tomorrow and tweet something, it moves the market. Why? Because he spreads certain information, whether it's positive or it's negative. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is I want you to shift your perspective on how important information is. Because another thing about making a lot of money, a significant amount of money, like $13,000 in 24 hours, and I wouldn't say it's crazy significant amount of money, and that might sound very egotistical, but I'm not trying to be. In the grand scheme of things, it isn't. You have to be able to shift your perspective and lens in how you see things. And I'll explain to you why. If I'm walking down a street and my perspective, my belief is this is a a completely safe street to walk down. I'll walk there, have no issue, go wear my watch, no problem. But if somebody tells me beforehand that this is one of the most dangerous streets, we've had 13 robberies, 2 people have got killed within the past 48 hours, it's going to change my entire demeanor as I walk down that street. I'm going to be a different man. I'm going to be looking left and right. I'm going to leave my watches at home. I'm going to dress as basic as possible, all based on the lens that I'm looking at the same street. Now, both of the stories, neither of them could be true. It could neither be the safest street, it could neither be one of the most dangerous streets in the world. Just based on my perception, it's going to massively change how I act towards that same street. Again, why am I sharing this with you? Because if you want to make a lot of money, the one thing that you have to get really, really good at adapting and changing is your perception of information and how valuable it really is. The biggest problems that people have in 2024 right now is a lack of information, a lack of the right information, and there's too much of it out there. So the number one thing that people are seeking is clarity. They're seeking direction. They're seeking specific knowledge. And this is why having specific knowledge is one of the most valuable things that you can have. The reason my clients pay me $15,000, in some cases more, in some cases $10,000 or so, is because I have specialized knowledge in a specific area. I'll give you an example. If you go out there today and you want to learn the best way to play tennis, there's 100 books on playing tennis. There's millions of YouTube videos on playing tennis. There's more TikToks, more Instagrams, more gurus out there. And it's very difficult to know who's giving the best information. It can be very overwhelming. And if I really want to get good at tennis, it's going to cost me a lot of time, energy, and effort to sift through all this knowledge. So I'd rather sit there and pay someone to give me the knowledge that's going to suit me best. So what does that tell you? It tells you that people want streamlined knowledge. People want to declutter information, and that is something that they're willing to pay for. Because imagine how many thousands of hours of content there is on tennis. Imagine how many thousands of hours of books there are on tennis. But if I could sit down with someone and they promise me that, listen, over 4 weeks, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to be able to perform and play tennis at a semi-pro level. I'm going to help you with your serve. I'm going to help you with your this. I'm going to help you with your fitness. I'm going to help make sure that you're doing the right workouts to increase your speed and your strength when it comes to playing tennis. All within a 4-week time span, and you won't even have to pick up a book or watch another video ever again. Would you pay for that information if you wanted to learn tennis? Of course you would, because it's specialized knowledge. So the second thing, after you shift your identity, is understanding how to gather specialized knowledge. And at first, admittedly, I had no idea how to do that. Remember, I was a dropout. If you haven't watched my other video where I dropped out, I highly recommend you go watch that. I was a dropout at the young age of 15, and I had zero specialized knowledge. I had to start off and build a set of experience. I had to advance my knowledge and experience through learning from people that are far more experienced than I was, right? When you pick up a book, you're not just picking up a bunch of pages. That's 40, 50 years of someone's life work condensed into 200-300 pages. So within 200-300 pages reading a book, I can now download the information that other people don't have, that other people haven't yet gone through, right? So if I speak to someone on that topic, I now have more specialized knowledge than they did. And I'll give you a perfect example. For me, early on in my journey, I spent a lot of time studying books on sales. Sales Bible, Jordan Belfort's books, Grant Cardone's books, videos, seminars, coaching, the whole 9 yards. And because other people don't have the time to sit there and go through those books, I could then go on to charge for that information because I understood why they were struggling with the things that they were struggling with in the topic of sales. So I sat down with them and I said, well, look, taking a look at what you're doing, you're missing this. How did I know this? Because I've read books, I've read information, I've consumed things and done things that they haven't yet done. So I'm worth a lot of money to them. I'm in a situation where I bring a lot more value to the table because if their current situation, and it all goes back to this, people have a current situation, they have a desired situation, and there's always a massive gap between the two. And the thing that holds them back from filling that gap is execution. It's executing the right tasks, but you cannot execute the right tasks unless you have the right information in your brain. So as I kept gathering specialized knowledge, I learned the skill of how to package it up and present it over to them. And as a result, it made me a lot of money, right? It made me my first 5 grand, my first 10 grand, and so on and so forth. So the first thing is an identity shift. The second thing is understanding specialized knowledge, key pieces of information that you can monetize, and understanding that we are now in the information age and information is priceless. And the final thing is execution, because it's all well and good that you've watched this video, but what do you actually do from this point to make this real for you, to actually start seeing results like this? Well, there's 2 ways. The first one being, if you already have some sort of specialized knowledge, You're an expert in one field, in one area. Then it's going out there and getting more eyeballs on whatever it is that you do. And for my coaching clients, I've told them exactly how to do this. I've told them how to go out there and connect with people just using social media tools like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok to get countless eyeballs on whatever it is that they're selling and get money in exchange for solving a problem. So you need to double down on doing more of those things. But if you're someone that's like, okay, well, I don't really have any specialized knowledge. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Then there's two options that you have. The first one being gather specialized knowledge. There's three ways to gather knowledge. The first one is study books. But again, that takes a long time. It takes a lot of, you can't sit there and ask a book a question and expect the book to reply back. The second one is to go watch videos. Videos are one of the fastest ways to consume knowledge and information in 2024. Or the third one is sit down and learn from someone experienced. If it took me 8 years to get really good at sales to the point where I've generated over $3 million and I can have days where I've closed $25,000, $30,000 worth of deals in a very single day, I can sit down with someone and over a week's period of time, I can make them 50% better at closing deals, for example. So the third one is having someone that's far more experienced that can sit down with you and share with you lessons that it took 8 years for them to learn and answer specific questions that you have when you get stuck at a certain point. And let's say you're in a situation where you can't even go out there and get the specialized knowledge. The only other thing that you could do is be an entrepreneur. Now, I know you've heard of the term entrepreneur, but what is an entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur is someone that will sit down and work inside of another person's business. Because the truth of the matter is, not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur, and that is completely okay. And I can say this speaking from experience. I worked as an entrepreneur before I became an entrepreneur. Before I had the money necessary needed, before I had the right skills, before I had the experience, I built up that experience by working a role in someone else's company that was selling information, that was selling knowledge. And in exchange for my time, in exchange for me providing a valuable service such as closing deals inside of their business or doing sales inside of their business, I learned a wealth of knowledge and information that I have now gone on to be able to monetize. And I've been able to generate sales income. So a lot of people, and I sit down and I speak with some people that are in sales. They would much rather just work a full-time sales job in someone's information-based business because they don't have to deal with 10 different headaches, whether it's hiring staff, whether it's managing your staff, whether it's, going out there and doing 1,000,001 things that a business owner has to do. So as an entrepreneur, you can really fast track the amount of information that you have through getting real hands-on experience. So look, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot of good value from it. Making $13,000 in 24 hours is something that is very, very possible. And in a year like 2024, it's only becoming easier and easier and easier to do. It's all about developing that identity shift and realizing that you have to step into becoming a different person to attain the things that you want, realizing that we're in the information age. And this is the time where countless people are going to become the next wave of multi-millionaires. They already have, and multi-billionaires through monetizing information. And the third one is understanding how to really hone in on that specialized knowledge, whether it's working inside of someone's business or whether it's getting that specialized knowledge from other people that have years of experience in different formats. It's been a little bit of a different style of video, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you got a ton of value. Smash that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.